Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say you have to give the death penalty to your fentanyl dealers who are sending fentanyl. You know, in China, they give the death penalty. They don't have a drug problem because they give the death penalty.
Donald Trump held a roundtable in Pennsylvania today with a group of farmers, and much like any other Donald Trump event in which he has to open his mouth, it went very poorly. Very quickly. And that's for a couple of reasons. The first and foremost being that Donald Trump just seems tired out there. He seems sleepy. He seems bored. Of course, he is not excited to answer questions about policy because he knows he is completely inept and unable to. And so when he was asked one of those policy questions today, you could really see Trump's mind just go blank. And he could really not speak or articulate a clear thought that is usual for Donald Trump. But it was especially bad today. And he said a couple of things that suggest really how scary his administration will be. And we're going to check that out in this first clip. But before we do, if I can quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, it really goes a long way in supporting our channel and means the world to me. Now let's check out this first clip in which Donald Trump is asked about how his tariff policy proposals would actually cost Americans more money. And he says something that should scare us all.
News. I've spoken with some economists about your proposal for tariffs, and they say they don't see how it will not make items cost more in the United States.
They'll approve it. They'll approve it. And number one, I don't need them. I don't need Congress, but they'll approve it. I'll have the right to impose them myself if they don't. I'd rather get their support. The ones that understand business all support it. I think David would be a very big supporter of the tariffs because you understand what's happening, right? David's a great business person, led a great company. No, the ones that understand business, they understand.
So first and foremost, Donald Trump is lying when he says his proposed tariff policy wouldn't actually cost Americans more money. Independent economists have suggested it would be around $3,900 a year extra in cost for the average American family because of this policy. But the scariest thing that Trump says there is that he won't need Congress. He says, I'll bypass them. I'll do it myself. Now, that would, I don't know, maybe sound a little less strange if it wasn't coming from the guy who says he wants to be a dictator on day one. But keeping all of that in mind, it is incredibly scary to see. We know that Donald Trump doesn't see any checks or balances on himself and just will carry out whatever damaging agenda he wants. It's incredibly clear. And Donald Trump continues to talk about that every single day on the campaign trail when he's able to get thoughts out, of course, scaring us and then lying. And one of those lies came right here but was quickly fact-checked by Team VP Harris on, I want to check that out.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you and a special group of people, the farmers. Nobody's done for farmers what I've done.
So Donald Trump says no one was better for farmers. He always says that no one was better for anyone. No one was better for farmers than him. But Team VP Harris HQ quickly fact-checked that on Twitter, writing this. U.S. farmers lost billions to Trump-era retaliatory tariffs. Once again, it's clear to see that Donald Trump's proposed tariff policy, something that was already a failure in his first administration, would be just that. Again, an absolute failure, just like Donald Trump during this event today. And like I said earlier, he was asked a question. His mind just went blank, as we've seen more and more. And this time it was with regards to energy, something it seems like he wants to be talking about more. But when he was asked by an energy worker about energy policy and VP Harris generally, he just kind of lost his train of thought and started rambling. And I want to check that out.
So without your job, which is a good job, an energy job, but if you don't put Trump in, you're not going to have any energy jobs in here. They're not going to let you frack. They're not going to let you frack. You know that. She's never said frack in her life until just a short while ago when she realized her poll numbers were dying in Pennsylvania. They're not going to let you or anybody else frack. And so I just want you to be aware of that when you go and cast your vote. I'm not too worried about the people around this table, I must be honest, but you never know. But everybody's aware of it, and I think Pennsylvania's aware of it based on polling. that we're getting. You can't let them do it because I didn't realize you were so dependent. Even a farmer would have to be dependent on the energy. But you take that energy out, you take that income out, it's a whole different story for Pennsylvania.
Completely.
And we're not going to let that happen. We got to win the election. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you.
He very clearly has no idea what he's saying ever. That is abundantly clear to us all. He's just attacking Kamala Harris, saying that she's never heard the word fracking or that he would be so great for energy. Well, why is it then that the Biden-Harris administration is energy independent for the first time in 50 years? And you work, Donald. What's that about? Can you explain any of that? No, I don't think. So in the same way, when Donald Trump was asked about how he would stop the CCP from buying land in the United States, he answered without a real answer. He responded, but it was just a mess.
Well, we're going to protect it by saying you can't come. You can't do it. We don't want you buying our land. We don't want you taking the land and basically taking it off the market. And we don't want you doing it. And they're buying at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We don't want you buying it. It's very easy to do. That's a very easy thing to do.
This is why it is so unfair when the media criticizes Kamala Harris and unjustly says that she's not conducting enough interviews or answering enough questions that right there from Donald Trump. That's not an answer. Saying, oh, how will you do this? Well, I will. That's a response very different from an answer. An answer answers the question. A response is the blah that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. It's just not real. It's just not true. It's just not substantive, just like what he said when he was asked about. And this is a point that MAGA continues to make, that I'm excited to debunk, asked about unrealized gains right here.
What about our capital gains tax? Are we going to keep that down?
Well, that's the worst. I mean, they have unrealized capital gain. How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
Unrealized. So they want to give you a capital gain if the value of your land goes up. Nobody's ever heard of it before. It's a communist thing, you know. It's a communist thing. It's unrealized capital gain. You'll have every business person, every company leaving this country. It's called an unrealized capital gain. And it's a concept that's been talked about for years. I don't know if any country has even done it, but she wants to do it here. And, come to think of it, now that I'm with farmers, it'll affect farmers probably worse than anybody.
We have all the minerals under us, which we own, and they're going to put a value on those. And even though we haven't taken,
you know who's going to make a lot of money? Appraisers, lawyers, and accountants.
Well, I have two accountants. My sons are accountants. So
they'll be very happy.
This is one of the exciting policies, at least a policy I'm excited about, from Vice President Harris, the taxing of unrealized gains. And MAGA wants to try to scare you about it, saying that if the price of your house increases, you'll have to pay unrealized gains on that. Now, you might, if your net worth is over $100 million. So if it's not mine, certainly isn't. I'm not really worried about that. But of course, who does Donald Trump serve? He serves giant corporations. He serves his rich friends, and they do have those gigantic net worths. And so they're worried about unrealized gains because they don't want to pay their fair share. But for the rest of us, I think this is an incredible policy. But Donald Trump is going to continue to lie about it. He's going to continue to fearmonger on it because his tax policy won. It's not comprehensive in any real way, the new tax policy that he's trying to propose. And of course, it just serves the top 1%. All of his economic agenda is a mess, just like I talked about earlier. The tariffs he is proposing, which we can see some pretty extreme ones, right here.
I just noticed behind me John Deere tractors. I know a lot about John Deere. I love the company. But as you know, they've announced a few days ago that they're going to move a lot of their manufacturing business to Mexico. I'm just notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States, so that if I win, John Deere is going to be paying a 200%. They haven't started it yet. Maybe they haven't even made the final decision yet, but I think they have. John Deere is going to, and anybody else that does this, because it's hurting our farmers, it's hurting our manufacturing. And if you do that, you're going to have a 200% tariff put on the product that you make in Mexico, right across the border. They think they're going to make product cheaper in Mexico and then sell it in for the same prices they did before, make a lot of money by getting rid of our labor and our jobs, and really a great name, because John Deere is a great name. I buy a lot of John Deere, tremendous. I'm one of their big customers. I buy a lot of John Deere product as a private person. But if they're going to do that, we're going to put a 200% tariff on everything that they want to send back into the United States, which means one of two things. Our country's going to make a lot of money, or they're not going to build, they're not going to open, and or they're going to sell it to another country. They're entitled to do that. If they want to build in the country, in the United States, there's no tariff. You can go ahead and you can build in any one of the 50 states. You can go ahead. But if they don't want to do that, we're going to put a 200% tariff on John Deere. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to announce very shortly, if they think I'm going to win, or if I do win, they're going to.
We need to just ask Trump what he thinks tariffs do. Because a 200% tariff on already expensive farming equipment, that's not a good idea. I don't know what's the thought process there. Like I always say, not a lot of thoughts going on there. Not a lot of concise ideas. This is not someone equipped to lead our country in any respect. And that becomes more clear every day. And we're going to keep talking about that every day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, make sure you drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.